DreamHack Open is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, Monster Energy, and DreamHack.
Everything was going to plan, and then Forza came along and they had to ruin it all. You know, the Grinch of the tournament, you could say, as they sent our lovely VP down to the decider match. And now, well, the question is, did they get sent home here, lads? Did they go home, Maui? Is this the end of VP? Was Flashpoint the peak and now it's just a downward spiral?
It's just a fluke. That's what it was.
Oh, wow. No, I'm gonna say that VP still have a great shot at this. I feel like VP right now has that post big tournament kind of malaise, you know. I feel like right now, if you actually even look at their stats, that they're not really trading as well as they normally do. And I feel like the individual form is still there, but I think they're taking things a little bit too easily. But I don't think that'll be the case given that this is an elimination match.
Well, we are going to take a quick look at our bracket, Blair, to sort of paint the picture of how we got to where we are. Kicking things off, of course, with the group that we're talking about right now. Forza, the 2-1 upset. A big performance from them, but we do sort of question whether or not VP played a little bit below their level.
Oh, yeah, they did for sure, right? Like, the Mirage lost to Forza. I'm not really gonna harp too much about that. It was 16-12. It's a pick coming in from Forza. Then losing, then a 16-13 win on Dust 2 is such a close affair. And then losing out on Train, a map that you would have picked VP 9 times out of 10. That is indeed an underperformance. Unfortunately, the team who's probably the most saddened about that result is going to be Espada, because they're going to have to face up against VP to qualify. So it's rough days for Team Espada.
Well, we can at least start having a look at this matchup and the map veto of which team is going to be going in what direction. I imagine we're probably going to see something of a Dust 2, Maui, as that's been coming up from both teams quite regularly.
I feel like both teams should like to play that. Maybe we'll get it as a decider, though, because I feel like both of these teams right now have potential punish picks in mind. So let's just get the vetoes out of the way. It should be the standard Vertigo ban coming out from Espada, and VP, that's their perma ban of Nuke. I think VP should probably be going for an Inferno pick here. We haven't really seen too much of them on it thus far. And Espada, they've been picking a lot of Dust 2, so that was a good hunch, Tom, but it looks like they're actually going to go for Mirage, and I feel like that's a little bit of a punishment because VP have looked a little weak on the map.
Yeah, and especially VP not even going for Train. They seem to be a little shook up, so to speak, after losing on Train. Losing on Train earlier today, right? So, yeah, a bit surprising, but Overpass coming in, I don't know. I feel like it's a tell. The VP are maybe a little scared at the moment, perhaps. Everyone does two through, although they should be feeling confident on it. So, interesting maps overall. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised as well, especially because we saw Espada play earlier today, as they do. They're not a one-tournament team. They like to carry on all the way throughout, and they got destroyed earlier by Dignitas. Like, Forest was tearing them apart, so yeah, maybe they'd be happy not to see that map as well. Either way, we can have a little bit of a comparison between the teams on the maps as well. The head-to-head, which I think in most cases is going to go slightly in favor of Virtus.pro, and especially considering, again, this has been a map that we sort of heard from Jerry as well, Maui, that even he thinks they're not particularly good at, but the stats kind of say otherwise.
Yeah, I think that Jerry probably just saw a weakness in this VP team that the stats don't quite tell us. The fact that they were able to pull off that upset victory against VP. OG recently beat VP, but VP also beat Big. And Big, for most of this year, was probably the best Mirage team in the world. So I don't really think that VP are necessarily weak on the map. I think that some teams have just found certain weaknesses that they can exploit. And I'm not sure if Espada can replicate that kind of success here today.
Well, of course, make sure while you're down in the chat to type hashtag Espada or hashtag VP to decide who you think is going to be winning this. Of course, the predictions will be coming up a little bit later. And for now, we're actually going to hear from the side of Espada themselves. So if you don't know too much about this team, this man you're about to see, he is the star, and his name is Degster.
And if he pulled out his sidearm, maybe he could get it done. Maybe he's going to switch across to the AK, takes off the head of Flit. Is there enough time? It's going to be cutting it incredibly close. He has
we
the
was
kid
not
holding on to it.
preparing for Force in their team like it was before. We was preparing for War 2K and Forrester in their roster. We can win game against Force, but some players did some really bad mistakes, and that's it. It's really hard for us to play against Virtus.pro. Their playstyle is not good for us, and their players have so many experience to play against us. We need to step up to beat them. If we gonna do this step, we gonna win teams like Virtus.pro or Gambit. My team have power to win any team. I wanna say thank you for all of you guys. Thank you for your help and support to my team. It's really helped to us.
Well, someone, Blair, that we've been keeping an eye on. But the thing that worries me about this Espada roster is, although they have like players stepping up here and there, it does almost come across as a one-man team.
It does. And like you said, it's going to be pretty hard here. It's goddamn VP, right? They weren't probably prepping for this particular matchup, but I don't know. We haven't seen much from them. They got that one map win over Fours yesterday. They beat Exit, which was kind of expected. But then again, like you mentioned, Tom, that 2-0 drubbing from Dignitas just a couple of hours back. The two takeaways from that: either you're completely crushed and not feeling it, or you are kind of fired up and angry and looking to at least get some vengeance. Not vengeance necessarily, but getting some sense of feeling good about yourself after getting the win over VP. It's going to be unlikely. It's going to be very hard. But Dexter, the man we saw, he is going to be absolutely instrumental if that is to happen.
I agree with you in a sense, but there's another side to the coin, Maui, where it's like, I expect Dexter to play well at this point. Patsy's the one I'm sort of looking at. First map he played yesterday, phenomenal. Okay in the second, and then completely dropped off in the third. And that's what I'm going to ask you. Like, where do we look to other than Dexter for this team? Because let's be real, one player is not going to be enough versus Virtus.pro.
Right. I think it has to be Patsy, because he's actually rated right now at this tournament the second highest player behind Dexter himself. So if there's anybody, it would have to be Patsy to try to show up as well. Sotvic has actually kind of been on and off, and when I've watched this Midnight 9 to 5 Cup on top of this, I feel like he's actually had games where he's actually carried them through it. So there are some weapons on the side of Espada, but VP is just so deep top to bottom. I feel like any player at any given time can just clutch out a round. Just two of them can pull off any 2v4, 2v5 situation.
And also need to add that yesterday, like we did touch upon the fact that Patsy might have had an overperformance as well.
Yeah.
So if that's not the case, great. But yeah, I have to go with the side. I have to agree with Maui that, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the case here today.
Well, speaking of the powerhouse, we also got a chance to speak to Kickit, who again is going to tell us about yesterday and hopefully a little bit about what's coming up later.
Quite consistently. Weekend has been playing B fairly often, but it's Buster.
Flash out of T-Con. Buster getting rid of Flit. A big kill to find out for VP. Jim trying to catch the Ivy players walking out, but it's Buster.
I still don't know, maybe because we wasn't playing on our 100% since it was a morning game, and I think it affected us, like we wasn't playing like on our maximum after that. And we have just to play our game because now we woke up and we're feeling more confident than we were feeling like against Force. Like after we woke up, like it was on the second map, we did a huge comeback and everything was on the third map against Force, but they just did a comeback and we started doing stupid mistakes, and I think it's not gonna happen now against Espada. We are feeling confident on this match against Espada. Hello to Dima and good luck.
I like the shout out there. Okay, hello to Dima. It's like, you better be ready. But this is the thing we're talking about with this roster, Blair, is that realistically, if they play to their level, it doesn't really matter what Espada do on the other side. But after what we saw earlier today, Are they out of it? Are they a little bit off today? Is something out, or were they just maybe tired from the early start? Are we giving them excuses?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Like, you just won a pretty major tournament and you're coming in, you know, maybe the pressure's a little off. You're like, it's an open. We are the favorites here alongside maybe Gambit. And you're coming in with your foot not really, you know, pushed onto the pedal. So maybe that loss is going to be the wake-up call. Maybe that's going to be them waking up. Because that Mirage game, honestly, it was messy to watch, right? The way that defense rotations can completely wreck something I'd not expect from a team who are pretty damn good in Mirage as well. Like you guys pointed out earlier, they've had wins over some pretty solid opposition very recently. So I'm just gonna consider the previous game as just an anomaly. I don't think that's going to be happening over here. I think Espada are in for a very, very rough time.
Well, and Maui, like moving forward from this, like obviously there are a few underperformances. I think Kickit probably is one to maybe highlight. Do you think that will play much of a part in this match? Like, is it going to be just another sort of trouncing as we've seen from them earlier in the tournament? Or do you think this one actually could be relatively close if Espada managed to play to the level we saw in some of their earlier games versus Forza?
I don't think Kickert's even going to have to get too involved. I feel like Yakinder has woken up for the day. I feel like Buster has on top of that. And those are really their entry players. They're players that are going to be finding most of the points of contact across the first two maps, because Yakinder, he's going to be playing that connector on Mirage. He's going to be playing that banana on Inferno. Those are the spots that are going to be really hotly contested by both of these teams. So, I mean, even if Kicker didn't wake up, I feel like the game might just end at those opening spots regardless.
So going into this match, we've highlighted Dexter pretty much from start to finish. We got to see his point of view. We also got to sort of talk about how he's been statistically fantastic. Now, he goes up against someone who has a lot more experience, who has been known for his sort of AWPing style, has been someone who's risen from the CIS scene through Avantgarde, etc. Blair, if you're going up against someone like that, if you're Dexter, what do you do to make sure that you come out of that battle on top?
I mean, it's really hard to answer that one, right? Like, it goes back to what I mentioned yesterday, that there was an article in HLTV mentioning how even though he's one of the highest rated players right now in 2020, against top 30 teams, he's only a 1.06 or 1.07 rated player, which is nothing too special. And VP are a top 30 team, definitely, right? So for him to kind of like evolve himself, he seems like a very hungry young player. For him to evolve himself and to kind of like start being considered to be a top tier player and top tier operator in the CIS region, he just needs to basically show what he's got against some of the better teams, and VP are clearly one of those, right? So it's going to come down a lot to how his teammates set him up. I think they do a pretty decent job with it, but also at times we're going to see him, you know, having to go for more of an individual play, so to speak, which I'm not necessarily a big fan of, but because of the fact that the team don't necessarily have the depth that VP does, he might just have to go out all on his own. The thing is, he's got the chops to do it. The question is, will VP punish him for it?
Well, yeah, finally, Maui, I want to ask you again. We mentioned Patsy. He is only 17 years of age. If you're Sophic, you're Dima, if you're trying to get this guy confident, you're trying to get him into the match to play up against probably players that he idolizes right now, what are you saying to him? What are you doing to make sure that he is prepared to play his best?
He's just gotta make it feel comfortable. So these guys have faced off against each other in 6 maps prior to this, and at this point you should finally get a feeling for how this VP team plays. And I feel like that's going to be the only possible win condition for Espada moving into this match, that you've played them before, that you know what to expect. And because of that, you maybe now can adapt your game just a little bit to your opponents and perhaps go that extra step further, extra step higher, find that opening kill that you otherwise wouldn't have, because now you expect that peak coming out from someone like Buster or from Yakinder. So if I'm his teammates, I'm just hyping him up, saying, come on, we've done this before. We've been close on Mirage, on Inferno in the past. Let's just take it one more step.
Right, guys, so we've been here a few times today. It's not been the greatest showing from us in terms of predictions. Is anybody going to break the mold, or can I just put VP across the line again?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I think I can't back down from VP. I've got them. I still think they're going to win the whole tournament, even though they have been sent to the losers bracket unexpectedly.
Well, they might have a tough semi-final to come, but as you can see, it is going to be VP across the board from us, and I'll imagine it'll be the same from you guys as well. So we're going to have to move this one on. We do have a couple of fantastic commentators, analysts, maybe even hosts in the future. I know there's a few people who can do them all, you know, like... But yeah, we're going to be handing it over to Potter and Vince, and they will take you through our final 2 best of 3s of the day. And I'm sure they're going to be an absolute banger duo.
It's been just over a month since these last 2 teams have played each other. That was back at the LootBet event, and it was pretty straightforward for VP. Potter, we're probably expecting more of the same, to be honest, even though they have had a bit of a rough go of it today.
Yeah, I think Maui brings up a good point. I think these guys have whipped back up into shape. They had a good wake-up call yesterday. I especially like the fact that Kicker, he seems to be opening up, especially in that little player segment that we had on the desk. He said, look out for Dima. He said, shout out to Dima, throwing a little shade over towards Espada. So I'm excited for this match. I'm hoping for a spicy one. You know, I think a good point is that these 2 styles, they clash pretty well together. He being such a solidified, methodical, slow team. When you think of Jame, you always think of perfect Counter-Strike. And when you think of Espada, they're a little rough around the edges, but these guys, they know how to play dirty, and I kind of like that. So I'm excited for this one, Vince.
A stylistic clash on Mirage to kick things off. Last time the teams faced each other, it was 16-11 to VP. That was back at New York for IEM. And now as it stands, VP on the CT side to kick things off. Espada already tossing out their utility, looking to try and get up close and personal with these Glocks. They have caught VP in some awkward positions, trying to wrap around the back of the T's early on. And they're giving up a lot of room, but Sanji is putting down the pain with the USP. It will be a post plant. Espada in decent positions, and Dimmers hold on, but Yakinda with a fast rotation puts the headshot through on Dexter. One of those main threats has now been dealt with and suppressed. Yakinda with the USP goes in for another one, and Finnegan is stuck in such an awkward position. Even with the team kill from Buster, there is more than enough time for VP to get it done and get the successful defuse.
Man, Jame, he's such a smart cookie. He was getting crunched. You saw it. All the T side of Espada were crunching that jungle side. He just hops back out. He knows he has his backup player in that connector area, and then they just set up and posture for that retake. It was a good look for Espada. I like the aggression coming out the gate right away, but we just talk about those protocols coming up from VP, and of course, it helps that your boy Sanji, that's Maui's son. He always talks about his headshot percentage and how accurate he is with those pistols, but man, that little one tap through that window, through that murder hole, just started everything out.
It was huge. Absolutely got the ball rolling. Yakinda now, who's been in some pretty solid form as of late, does get smacked down to 49 HP. Has the AUG at range, normally a real nuisance and threat, but you see Espada, they actually show quite a bit of respect across the VP. They take the early action, they get the early damage inflicted, but they don't fully force behind it. They don't fully commit, they instantly wrap around to the other side of the map.
And I like that. Look at the movement that they've created on this mini-map, Vince. You got 3 defenders of VP that just arrived to A to back up Yakindar. He got gushed early on. But that AUG, you're right, it did push them off, but this new look, this mid-control, Buster's about to get crunched from all sorts of angles right now. It does seem like Espada, they're approaching this round pretty slowly. Unsure of where to go exactly, and VP, they're not really giving them any sort of a duel.
That's a good point. VP are playing this one pretty passively. The lineup, though, will see Buster go in for 2. 50% of his HP is all he requires to pick up a third. And even though he may fall down to Patsy and Finnegan if he's not careful, he's done more than enough for the rest of his team to surely come in and clean up the rest. Sanji up close. They're allowing the plant to go down. Actually, they do deny it. It costs Sanji his life, but that should be the round that goes with him. And this was an investment. Espada went all in with this buy. Patsy gets a second, only 10 seconds to play with, and 50 health left means this round is a done deal. Great work by Buster.
Buster is such a boss, man, just holding his ground, gets a 3K for himself. But we got to talk about Sanji. He is every team's wet dream. I love the way that he always plays the high percentage Counter-Strike, just boiling out of that market area, doesn't even care about the player on his right, just goes for the time and kills the bomb planter there to just make sure that they secure that round.
Quite a late buy here from Espada. I'm quite surprised. After
It's
buy
a cool
time.
investment too.
Yeah, and because of that, look at how much room they've given for the likes of Yakinta to get up close and throw a nade down there. That's pretty integral to this round, potentially.
Yeah, some indecision coming through. They don't want VP to get away with just a string of rounds early on, but at the same time, this could come to bite them, but that's a good catch coming out from Patsy. Window got smoked off, Yakinda was completely isolated, and now Buster, he's isolated as well in that mid. That's a good look for Espada, you're right. That sort of indecisiveness almost caught them, but Dima, look at how much ground he's gotten. That's a good pick off from Sanji. That's the B bomb site completely for the taking.
Showing a justified late buy here at Espada. Maybe their off timing is actually what caught VP unaware in middle. Yakinda fell down fairly easily. Buster, though, as has so often been the case over the last few weeks, on point with his aim, on point with the AK, which he did pick up from the catwalk triple kill in that previous round. However, Espada's force buy will get them this round. That much is guaranteed. VP aren't really interested in going for this. They have no kits between the rest of their players, and it's only James that is up close with the MP9, looking to try and get some exit kills, maybe upgrade if he can get his hands on that M4 for Finnegan. And having a look at things, it seems he will get pressured. How many kills can he put down? Each kill is pretty valuable right here. Not just money in his back pocket, but additionally denies some of the weaponry that Espada are starting to pick up. But it's only a one and done. And that's great news for Espada. First round on the board.
Solid stuff. That buy coming through for them and paying off actually really huge. I gotta say for Yakindar, I feel for him in this round, Vince. I think that small delay that you spoke about in the beginning, he totally expected some sort of contact, some sort of duel to go down in that mid area. But because nothing happened, he felt safe, and that came to make sure that he got pinched. So, but either way, VP, they've got a pretty okay buy coming into this one. James, he's only relegated down to that scout, but the rest of the squad has a strong purchase. And a lot of the Espada members are congregated towards this B.
Sanji about to get pressured away, smoking down, allows him a bit of safe passage, but he's getting smacked through that smoke. Patsy with the SMG goes in first, he's the first to fall. And Sanji goes down alongside him. There's been a lot of damage inflicted from some of these nades, and Sophic will be finished off. That's also the bomb, mind you. He wanted to try and trade across towards the site and get that bomb planted. They may have seen it go down. This is huge for VP. Had that bomb gone across to the other side of the site, they got the post plant into effect, that could have been the round over. VP may have even pulled the plug. It would have been a 4v3. As it stands, though, Finnegan is now going in. This has given Yakinda a chance to get up close on the catwalk. But they have to play together. They can't be going out one by one. Kickert gets the drop onto Dimmer. A huge pick, which may very well lull VP back into this round, and Yakinda gets his. Last player is Dexter, yet to get any kills in the map. But always a threat, always an issue that you have to contend with. They do now have kits, but they don't have Kickert any longer. He's lost his life, leaving Yakinda on 26 HP. The Molotov is burning away Dexter, but it doesn't matter. He still threads the Deagle shot, and Espada get their second.
Wow, what a play. What a quick reaction coming up from Dexter. He knew he couldn't just fall back. He had to beat that Molotov, and man, the timing from this man, even crouched, not showing anything, not giving away anything, and just sealing the deal in that 1 versus 2 scenario. Beautiful stuff, nice clutch, and that just puts VP in an awkward position. They are broke now. And even if they save here next round, James, he may not even be able to purchase an AWP once again. He had a scout last round. He wasn't able to do much. And we know how integral that AWP sniper rifle is in James' hands. Always calling around him as the in-game leader. It does look like right now they're wanting to do this mid-pop kicker. He's got that flashbang. You can see on the minimap he's towards that triple box ticket booth, and it's all going to be on Sanji's call. Dima, if he's not careful, he's going to be full blind, but what a reaction. Oh my God, just flicking blind, and Sophic is there to help him out as well. It's all down to James. That was looking like that could have been trouble, Vince, but these guys are so quick.
Yeah, I love that they had a layered approach as well. It was like a firing squad. If you catch one or maybe two players out in the middle, it's one thing. Maybe you can get those USPs to work. But there was 4 or 5 players at different angles of verticality. So even though the flashbang affected the first player really badly, Sanji at the back was basically untouched by it. And it was just an easy, straightforward round. I can understand, though, part of VP's idea. You know, you've got very low funds. You have to go for a gamble, Hail Mary play. It just didn't quite work out. But now they've got themselves a buy. However, as you touched on, it's still without an AWP. And I feel like an AWP is such an integral part of VP's prowess.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You can see Yukindar. He's going to try to gain some ground, but these smokes throwing him off. This is just a misdirection, though. But Buster, he's been such a rock, such a boss. He does find that first. He's going to fall back, and he has to. He's so low. But that pickoff, that was huge. That completely stalled everything from Espada's attack. And now they've got to shift their focus towards trying to get this mid control or under control.
Another smoke gets deployed out. Only one left on the collective belt of VP and a couple flashes alongside it. So they are running dry in terms of utility. That could be something that comes back around to bite them. May force an over-rotation. But for the time being, VP in good positions. Kicker needs to tread lightly. First kill goes his way. Sophics next up, though, but he has spotted the bomb. That will force across a couple of rotations. Already seeing James bite down hard on this call. 40 seconds to spare in Espada. They don't actually have any smokes. This is a real issue. They've got flashes, they've got a molly, but no smokes to lock off these angles. This is looking like such a difficult round for Espada. It will have to come down to some raw, ruthless entry fragging. Finnegan is waiting, anticipating this play alongside Yakinda, who now pops up, but can't get any kills. He loses his life. They still need to explode out onto the site, though. And James just needs to stay alive. He knows the cavalry is coming in. Sanji with that MP9 is wrapping around the CT spawn, and James goes for the first peek. He gets taken down by Patsy, but now all the chips are falling into place. Sanji up against Finnegan. At this kind of range, the AK should shine, and indeed it does. What a turnaround for Espada.
Wow, I can't. This round just fell apart so slowly but surely for VP. It all started out with that flashbang into A ramp. Yukindar, he wanted to regain some sort of map control, but that sound cue was everything for Espada. Coming through, they knew exactly where Yukindar was going to be. He gets picked off, and from that point, just one by one, it just falls. Espada tight-knit, making sure the trades come through. And once again, VP, they're down to just a kind of a shit buy here, Vince. A scout onto James again. And just $1,300 in the bank. But of course, James, he's got his boy Sanji, the real bank, the real investment. He'll be able to drop that AWP into the next round. We even see some dualies coming out on Yukindar.
Big fan. Big fan. In a decent position as well. If his angle goes unchecked, they can rip through some heads. Full stack onto A side. Again, can understand this from VP. It is pretty wild, though, that they are looking at the very likely possibility now, with Sanji having tons of cash, as you said, that their first AWP will be coming in the 8th round on their CT side. That is a pretty crippling body blow. And Espada are looking good to now pick up 5 rounds in a row. Keep in mind, if you just tuned in, that VP picked up the pistol. They got the second across the board, although it wasn't anything easy at all. James is valiantly trying to hold the line all by himself. He's now getting some help from the rest of his teammates, but that will just put them into an early grave. And that leaves the aforementioned Julies in the hands of Yakinda, who may have the element of surprise, and maybe he can drop one of these players, but it's very unlikely, Potter, he's going to get anything considerable or significant done now.
Yeah, the dualies do tend to fail you, especially in these tense moments, but let's see if Yukindar can make something special happen. It's absolutely either going to be a huge fail or we'll be able to talk about this for quite some time, Vince. Oh, Patsy. Oh, these guys have sniffed him out. They know. You're too far gone, Yukindar. Ooh, he might be able to get a gun. Oh, and he just goes down. That was a bit of a gimme round. And here we are. Sanji's going to be able to drop that AWP over. Buster might even be able to purchase one for himself. Maybe a double op coming out, and there it is. So this should be a different look for VP. We've been talking about how long they've been a team. They just got first place at Flashpoint. These guys had a bit of a wake-up call yesterday. They've got a bunch of protocols, some really nice crossfires, and Espada is going to have to work for this round. VP are bringing everything into it.
Bringing the heat with 2 AWPs. Buster with a secondary who's perched up on the B-App side of the map. And meanwhile, they have James, of course, on the CT boxes. Smoke down onto ramp. Should be mentioned that in the past, the head-to-head definitely does not favor Espada whatsoever. They've played 6 times. 3 best of 3s. Every single map has gone the way of VP. The most rounds that Espada have mustered up was 13. That was on Inferno, which could definitely paint a close picture for our second map of this best of 3. But VP have been unstoppable when it comes to these head-to-heads. Maybe this is Espada's time and a potentially weakened VP. Feeling some mental fatigue. James, though, showing no sign of tiredness with his AWP shot. Patsy went for that dry peek through connector. Gets punished. Bomb down towards T side and only 40 seconds. It seems like we will have an A hit momentarily. And once that smoke clears, James very likely picks up a second frag, but actually misses. I'm not sure what happened there. He got tagged down to 29. 30 seconds to play with. Espada have got to start to make moves in. And Kicker taking the initiative to go for that peek down ramp. He finds the information, but it's not worth his life. And now the 29 HP on James is going to be so integral if they hold the line. Molotov off. He can't stay in position. 13 seconds. The bomb is starting to traverse across to the site. Buster picks off Dimmer. 3-on-3. Sophic in no position to help his teammates out. He's running all the way around. He's assuming this bomb will get planted, which it now will. And now his position is that more dangerous. But my goodness, Potter, that was cutting it so close for Espada.
That was so close. And honestly, I did not think they would be able to plant Vince. James, he was doing his damnedest. He was dodging Molotovs, dodging contact. It does suck that he didn't hit that one shot. And now Buster, he's in some real trouble. Sotvic, he knows that Buster was just around this area, sniffing out, and Buster's not on. Oh, neither player is checking. Okay, Buster might survive unless he gives off some sort of sound cue. That's real unfortunate for Espada. This would have really made it next round almost a guarantee, but this X factor of this AWP being saved always makes things possible. Man, this push right there, Vince, from Kicker. I think Kicker really felt the pressure coming. He felt like he needed to either hold on to that palace or hold on to the A ramp. He didn't want to lose both, so he pushed forward, but that was his demise. That was to his demise. Peeking a little too early right into that AWP. I do think with how many members VP had towards that A defense, Kicker was perfectly fine where he was. In hindsight, I think when they go over this game film, they'll be able to realize that. But man, just the smallest of margins here. Espada coming out on top of another gun round. And as I mentioned, that was a fully invested VP. They put everything into that round.
Yeah, we were kind of building this picture about how desperate VP were to get their hands on an AWP. Well, they got 2 of them and they still weren't successful. And I completely agree with your assessment. I think Kicker will be kicking himself after watching that back, because time was low. Espada were basically depleted on the grenade front. They just needed to hold the line. But that's all in the past. They have to focus on the present. That will see James with an AWP in his hands, looking down towards B app side. Not too much, though, here, Potter, apart from the AWP that they can really muster up. It's just the Eagles and very low utility on top of it.
Yeah, these smokes, they should buy some time for James to see if he can't find an opening of some kind. You only see the 2 of them on the back of Buster and Kicker. And there's 3 members in these upper B tunnels for Espada, but they're falling back. And it's definitely the right move. Did we just hear James shoot his AWP? No, he has 10 bullets. Okay, he has not shot yet. So they must have had some different kind of read then. And it does look like this is going to be an A hit, Vince.
They do have one of their smokes over in this vicinity, and Buster has the secondary smoke, so they can maybe stall this off. 35 seconds. 3 players on A. Full execute coming in to effect. And Espada will be pushing right behind this. Flashbang starting to connect. There's Buster with his deagle, but he's the only player that's done anything for VP. The rest are all falling down. Yakinda, speculative shots, does soften up Sotfik twice down to 42, but can't quite finish off the frag. Finnegan gets the full plan in amongst the smoke, shows his head briefly, but Sanji can't rip it off. And with some of these missed shots coming into play, albeit very difficult to land from VP, understandable that they would be up against it in this one. Now connecting onto Sotfik to finish off that weakened target, but without any grenades or any kits, it feels like VP is just about damage limitation. How much can they hurt the economy of Espada while maintaining their AWP? Because there's no real other options. That will be Espada off to 7 rounds already, even though James is putting down some damage. Look at the bomb timer. It's so low. They have no kit. It is over. Some really nice shots though, Potter, which maybe builds the confidence a little bit, and they can pick up a secondary weapon. But they're already eyeing up a massive deficit, and that is 7 rounds in a row now to Espada.
Yeah, 7 rounds. I think VP are feeling okay still. You know, lately especially, Mirage T-side, it can get out of hand. I think if VP can secure themselves 6 or 7, they'll be A-okay going on to the T side of things. But right now, again, that double op kit coming out, and I just got a comment, man. Last round, those deagles, they looked so damn deadly. There were so many times I thought that VP were actually going to convert that low buy, but ooh. Yakindar even wielding the AWP towards this middle. This should be interesting. Both snipers towards that A, but right now Kicker, he's under a lot of pressure. This might be a double pump fake. You see that the bomb is almost out of that A ramp, but there's some pressure towards this mid and upper B tunnel right now. Espada, they've got their hand in the cookie jar of every portion of Mirage. They're going to have a lot of opportunities. And James even getting gushed. They're about to lose this mid control as well.
They've lost the first. Yakinda does come back, and not for the first time. James, second to the punch. I've seen this a couple of times. He's a bit slow on the trigger. Sanji stuck behind the jungle smoke. Kicker tries to take the initiative and press forward, but he's lost his life. Even trades back and forth. Yakinda and Buster face off against Dimmer and Sotfik. In terms of fragging power, VP have 2 of their heaviest hitters still alive, and that is why Yakinda picking up the secondary AWP, originally in connector, now needs to come full circle. Full diffusers coming in. I'm not sure this angle is good enough for Espada, and Dimmer will be denied VP's first round in so many, but it's at the cost of 4 lives.
Wow, I think VP are actually quite lucky to get away with that round. There were actually so many damn layers in this attack coming out from Espada. Dima in this round, the last player alive for Espada. He actually started out the entire round defaulting towards that B, lurked out to an empty bomb site, and he's actually the one to seal the deal almost. A good look for Espada, but even better for VP finally getting around on the board, and James even finding an opening.
Clean kill as well. Can just pull back onto the A side, untouched. Not a single point of health lost on VP. Interesting that they actually put that secondary AWP across the Yakinda. I think it's maybe a read that they've made. Buster typically is their B player. When he had the secondary AWP, he was peeking through B apps, but they've seen very little action over this side of the map. So maybe putting that secondary AWP on Yakinda shows that they're expecting more A and middle-centered hits. In terms of this round, though, Potter, that doesn't seem to be the case. They've got the lurk of Finnegan over on Palace, but the rest of Espada, they're eyeing up the B hit.
Yeah, Dima might feel like he's got some sort of timing. He was able to get out last round. No one was here, but this time there's 2 members in Buster and Sanji. That Molotov is going to buy even more time. And And Finnegan, this insurance plan coming out from Espada, he goes down, and now these guys are just stuck. They can only go out B tunnels. 3 of them alive. This one flashbang is the last piece of utility left, but this is just going into a firing squad, Vince.
Yeah, just bloodshed, having to pay the ultimate price. Just 1 kill goes back onto Yakinda. They can easily replenish that weapon. Plenty of players over on VP can drop for him if they so chose. And yeah, it did feel like after the opening picks went the way of Jame and VP, a lot rested on Finnegan really selling that fake over on the A side. There's only 30 seconds left, and Espada was stuck in the bottleneck of apps. And whereas at one point their economy was looking so good, now it is starting to be whittled away a little bit. Most money they have is on Patsy at $2,500, $0 for Sotfik. So VP are at least starting to break down Espada and bring them to their knees.
Jame getting pushed off that mid a little early, and this time he's rotated B, and the perfect timing as well, because Sanji gets picked off by Dima. And right now there's a lot of connector presence coming out from Espada, even pushing Buster off the angle here. VP, they've shown that they're okay with giving up this A bomb site, but they haven't really shown a good retake. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Buster is just shutting them down from connector. I completely agree. I think they have given up A so many times. They haven't really shown much fight when it comes to these retakes, but that's definitely going to make things a little bit easier for VP when Buster locks it down from short side. These are angles of the map that Espada have got to get a hold of. Patsy shut down multiple angles as having to contend with Yakinda's org. And that will be VP now posting up 3 of their own. This is where that economy I was highlighting before does start to come back and bite the tees in the backside. Great work from Buster, though.
Yakindar is just so fun to watch, man. Just jumping up, getting that contact, throwing a little spam, and then just wide swinging. That sort of confidence and unpredictability is really hard to play up against, and this is a round where finally VP are going to have some breathing room. Get their economy under control and potentially just secure the rest of these rounds. They're certainly postured up for it. And Espada, it would be fantastic if they could actually get the bomb down in this round, but at this point with no utility, that's a tough ask.
One element, though, here, Potter, is it's actually only Kicker that's watching towards A fully. They do have Yakinda that can quickly wrap around, and Jame, who's in the window. But there is a way, if they can get that lightning fast 1D onto Kicker, it can maybe open up a couple of options. However, they've shot off the first bullet. It's not successful. Now Yakinda can start to move through. They have Buster, who's on catwalk, who has been laid down by Dimmer, but that will be the only kill in the round for Espada. No plants, but they do have plenty of money, and round loss bonus has now built up. So another buy comes in, but I've been impressed with how VP have adapted and how they've overcome.
Yeah, it was definitely a slow start for these guys, but it's definitely coming together. Even the money has stabilized. It wasn't too long ago, Vince, we were talking about how he only had $1,500 in the bank. Now he's hit the double-digit mark. Kicker is going to be a little bit blind. He hasn't had quite as much success towards this A bomb site. You know, Kicker is one of those players for VP. He's certainly an X-Factor player. Sometimes he just completely has the ability to take over a game, and one player passes by Finnegan. That's a solid trade. This is a Kobe if I've ever seen one. Patsy gets taken out, and Yakinda, he's burning alive at the moment. He's gonna be okay. It's 3 versus 3, Vince.
Some great stalling frags, though, for VP. It's kept Espada at arm's reach, and when you have AWPs on Yakinda and Jame, that could be an issue. Jame, though, gets quick peek from Dexter. Yakinda knows he's in such an awkward spot. He desperately needs Sanji to have some impact, and Sanji, in the meanwhile, can't quite get there fast enough. Dexter does the damage. Sanji, 1 on 3. He's picked up the first. The bomb is dropped down in his sight. Will be smoking off to change up his angles. This allows him to now relocate on top of the boxes and try and take the fight to the oncoming T's in a separate avenue of aggression. Dexter slowly edging round the side of the smoke, seeing once it dissipates if he can get the shot off and finds Sanji, plucks him out, and Espada have broken the curse of their lost rounds.
Espada love these types of scenarios where the duels are coming their way, things are getting hectic, the chaos. They tend to just thrive in these moments. You can see exactly why Dexter, he does not care. He's got the confidence. He's gonna gain whatever ground he needs to, and kind of making his own luck there, just going for the no-scope. VP, we talked about it. They have a lot of money, but you just get owned, Vince. Money's not going to do much for you.
Very true. They are at least looking at the possibility of bringing this back to only a one-round deficit, but they've lost the first. Yakinda goes down to top pick. Great counteractive kill from Jame, and there's Buster as well. Locking down middle, taking the initiative and the advantage. But again, not for the first time. We have seen Espada able to just walk out of ramp, relatively uncontested, and Finnegan's already made up enough room to get into sandwich. The downside for Espada is his teammates are miles away. They can't fully capitalize just yet.
Yeah, Espada were kind of spread out, and the fact that VP just forced the issue, took the trades, did not let Yakindar's death go in vain, meant a lot. And now Espada, they're out A ramp. Jame, he's been spotted, but he's also spotted them. The communications are definitely going through. Oh, that's a huge miss, but Buster is always there to back him up. And now it's down to a 3 versus 2. Jame still sitting at ticket booth, and Sanji finds another. It's all down to Dima. He's got the bomb on his back, but he's about to be surrounded.
Outmanned, outmaneuvered, and outgunned. With 39 HP, make that 0. Kicker puts him down with ease. It's a comeback from VP, but they will still trail going through into the second half. Welcome back. Half two of our first best of three that Potter and I are casting for this evening is Espada leading by 1, but considering at one point this was 7-2 to Espada, it was looking a little bit grim. This may be a false start, as you can see the players sticking around their spawn, so it just gives us a little bit more time to discuss that first half, Potter. We were both a little bit surprised at how regularly VP were basically just giving up A and playing for retakes time after time. It was a real head scratcher.
Yeah, it definitely was. And also the fact that they were not able to retake by any means. I mean, if you look at the scoreboard here, they had 7 rounds lost in a row. And thankfully, towards the end, they got their act together there just a little bit and were able to get themselves an 8-7 half. And I said it in the first half, I think 7 rounds is definitely good enough for VP. We spoke about Sanji. I think the desk touched on it a little bit. Mirage, he seems to be really free and loose on this map, especially on the T side. He's going to have a lot of decisions to make towards that B, generally fairly aggressive, using all of his utility and trying to just bully whoever he's faced up against off that B platform. And once he gains all that ground, VP have a lot of options, a lot of opportunity to throw whatever misdirection they want from that point. So Espada is going to have their defenses in order, and it looks like we're having some sort of a lot of false starts here, Vince.
Unfortunately, I can see that timer is now ticking down, so it seems like those false starts will become the real deal. And VP on their T side with plenty of utility. 3 players actually opting for an assortment of grenades. 2 mollies, 3 smokes, and 2 flashbangs. And they're not taking too much time about getting up close on B. Only 1 player over here, which will be Dimmer. He's watching B from the Sanctuary of Kitchen, which means he's very easily going to get smoked off and rushed down. This should be a post plant, barring a miraculous hold from Dimmer. And beautiful smokes being tossed in. He does actually change up his angle. Now the molly's firing in. Flashbangs on top of it. And VP, with an exquisite execute, yield a bomb plant so effortlessly.
What a Molotov. It also helps that Espada decided to give up this bomb site, but that execute, that read, it looks like they totally outplayed Espada in this round. Sanji, he's going to have to make sure he holds onto this cat. He does have the backup right now in Yakindar. And yeah, this retake's going to be so tough. Already utilizing that smoke. No more utility for Espada. And Dexter, he's being real patient. He wants his teammates in market to be able to find some kill first. Sanji going down, and Yakindar even going down. Buster all of a sudden is under a lot of pressure, but he handles it fairly well. I say that, and everyone goes down, Vince. The retake, it comes through. Dexter was being so patient towards that cat. I don't know if Sanji turned around or exactly how he won that duel and was able to pick off both Yakindar and Sanji, but it was just enough. They made it work.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, there was a part in my mind, Potter, and I know this will seem like a flippant response, but once it was post-plant and those smokes were perfectly put on Kitchen, I wouldn't have even held it against Espada if they 5-man saved.
Right.
Because the chances of getting back onto B are actually pretty slim for the most part. I cannot believe that they've got that clutch. That didn't look possible to me, and yet here we are.
Let's just consider all the things, right? Glock 20 bullets, close range. You don't even have to worry about long-range duels. You've got the trades going in your favor. Everything was set up for VP to succeed in that round. But Espada had an answer, and James, he's got the P250. The hero AK is on the back of Sanji right now. We talked about his headshot percentage, that first bullet accuracy being so good to watch. And here we go, crosshair placement. It's good right now, but just a little jiggle from Sotvik. And once again, this utility, it's going to slow things down for VP, but looks like Yakindar is telling Sanji, come here, bud, I'll boost you. Sanji's just hiding behind the smoke, and oh man, that is so unlucky. He just gets spammed down. Sotvik's game sense is just tingling as Sanji gets pushed off the angle.
And considering that Sanji is effectively the play with the AK, the power play in motion, that is brutal. The only other Kevlar wielding player was Kickert, who's over in Palace. So it's not as if he could toss that AK across to anybody else. And now he's lost the AK on Catwalk. That actually just gift wraps a free AK across your adversaries, and you have nothing else to feasibly play off. It's just Glocks and Deagles. And it's a massacre. VP, they went for the gamble. They rolled the dice. It came up snake eyes. And although they can play with 3 players now with weapons, Sanji and Kicker will be struggling.
Yeah, resorted down to just probably those Galils, but Sanji, of course, drops the AK over to his buddy and Kicker. Such a team player. Just has the flash and that Tech 9. This should help things, and Kicker goes for that initial duel, but he gets taken down. Dexter just holding his ground, crouched in the corner of window, and things are not going well for VP once again. Patsy, aggression towards that lower B, takes out a loner in Sanji. No trades to be found. And although VP have this mid control for now, they are at a huge man-down deficit here, Vince.
Absolutely. They lost the Tech 9 wielding Sanji. Kicker, who got the weapon dropped across, was next in the chopping block. Yakinda may have got one, but that's all he will pick up from this round. That kill streak comes to an abrupt end. And Buster and James, isolated from one another, opposite ends of the map, Palace and Middle, respectively, need some quick-fire entries. Finnegan's position allows him that early warning system, a bit of intel for the rest of his teammates as he looks to protrude down into ramp. VP want to end on A. This could all come down to timing. It's very feasible that VP could still pick off this round. Dexter's watching into Palace. He knows that ramp is covered, but he has no idea about connector. The timing works against him. But James was anticipating a player to be on the CT boxes, doesn't spot anybody, so keeps pushing forward. Dexter just caught a glimpse of him, so makes the call for the fast rotations. Buster, with the spray, doing damage to Dimmer, and finishes him off. But there's only 15 seconds to play with. The bomb is retrievable in eye shot, but Buster needs to go for that plant, and the smoke that was helping him out on connector is now faded. It needs to be kills, and they need to come through right now. Patsy goes for the wide swing, and there's the MP9 spray. It is before the end of time, so VP won't be completely crushed off the back of that, but it's an 11-7 lead already building up.
Wow, Espada just bullying VP into this round. You saw Patsy with that MP9 to gather that last kill. He was the player that pushed lower B and started out the round as well. And yeah, Espada right now, they're playing with confidence. They're not backing down, and they're actually finding the duels that they want on their terms, which is so surprising because VP are generally so patient, so disciplined that whatever team plays up against them are always left wondering, always left guessing. But right now, VP are getting red. Espada's aggression is just flat out working against them. Right now, this is just down to pistols, and although VP have aggressively taken over this window. Oh, Finnegan is actually under some real trouble. He's got the backup. Of course he does. Sophic shows up, and this is actually still a win for VP. They do get the bomb down.
Any further kills at this point will be the cherry on top. Kicker, big frag, can't realistically stop this defuse as much as he may want to try and go for it, so he'll save onto this AK. As you said, though, bomb plant is mission accomplished, but they are now trailed by 5, and Espada have done such a good job, Potter, of managing this early aggression. It feels like they've gone back to the drawing board. They've taken those previous 6 losses that I talked about before. They've done their due diligence. They've looked at the demos, and they've come up with a master plan. And now it's all down to VP. You said that their T side should be solid, and I completely agree, but so far it's looked a little bit flat because of how well Espada have been playing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this time, even the double AWPs coming out in mid, Yakindar catches that grenade completely. He's all alone right now, top mid, and it doesn't look like Espada want to back down in any way. Those smokes should eventually push them off some of these angles, but Yakindar eats another grenade. He's down to 13 HP. It's a lot of pressure, and Dima, he's even going to push up for B tunnel control. There it is. Buster does punish a little bit too much of an aggression coming out from Dima. And this completely splits the defenses of Espada. 2 members stacked towards B and 2 towards this A. This should give some mid-breathing room here for VP. And I actually do like this re-aggression coming from Sophic. pushing exactly where his teammate just died, and it pays off for him. He's able to pick off Buster. This should be a lot of information as well. The fact that it's so quiet in B tunnels is everything for Espada. And Patsy, he's ready for it. Sitting at this ticket booth with this sniper rifle. Oh, that's a huge miss. He definitely needed to hit that one. And it's the A bomb site. It's going to go down, Vince. The bomb goes down.
Bomb down, enough funds to justify Espada at least dipping their toe in the water to try and go for this clutch, but you can already see from Sotfik and Dexter's perspective, they're not interested. They're not even attempting to make moves through Kitchen towards the murder hole. They're pulling back to save alongside Finnegan. So VP have got it done. There were definitely moments, though, Potter, and I think you're spot on. That engagement around CT boxes that goes against them, where Patsy actually dies, that was basically it for VP. If he holds on for one kill, it could have been an entirely different ball game. But VP claw themselves back in, 4-round deficit, more than enough money to buy in again, of course, for the CTs. But at least now a bit of pressure being applied. Love that play, though, through on the B-hole side. That was actually huge, and I thought that could be the round-defining moment for Espada. Wasn't to be the case.
Yeah, a lot of moving pieces, though, and the fact that Espada just keep fighting back, even in this round that they lost, they still managed to at least make it competitive, and that's what I like to see, just consistently biting back no matter what. And right now, Dexter, he's gone aggressive, jumped out the window, has this bird's eye view, but eventually will fall. And VP, we've seen this, very slow and methodical. It's kind of the VP style. But Kicker, oh, at least he does find the one onto Patsy. That's actually huge for Kicker. A good find, even though that trade comes through for Espada. Kicker's been quiet this game, but that crosshair placement, man, it comes out to reward him.
The importance of crosshair placement, affording you the chance at that quick fire rip headshot. 55 seconds though. VP now congregating back through the T side of the map and headed into Palace where that early confrontation kicked off. Bit of intel on both sides. No aggression for Espada this time, but they do now have Dima actually moving up, so scratch that. He's gone into Underpass. He's finding out the information over on B, but this has limited value because VP are now starting to press the aggression over on the other side of the map. The flank is coming in, but Sanji's waiting. He anticipated that could be a possibility. And now with smokes and flashes alongside Molotovs being exchanged between the two teams, the bomb has been dropped out momentarily. Dexter keeping this round alive. Even though his team trailed by a player, there's only 15 seconds to make it work. And Soptic is coming up through on Catwalk. Spray is good, but another smoke in perfect position while he nearly takes down Yakinda through that smoke. That would have been huge, but instead, I think he may have to lick his wounds and give this one up. Or perhaps
will he?
The long flank. Is he really going for this pot, though?
Oh, this is interesting, Vince. I like it. You know, he's probably not going to fully commit to it, but why not? He's going to poke and prod, see what kind of luck he can make for himself. And the fact that he has a kit and a smoke definitely gives him the possibilities. Oh, his crosshair was so close, but James, of course, he's watching his back and holding down that A ramp. James knows all, and that was a solid victory coming out for VP. Things were getting dicey though there, man. Dexter was doing work. I thought he might even survive in that smoke when he pushed it towards that triple. But VP, they come out on top this time out of those chaotic, tense moments, which is a good sign for them because it's been Espada that's been controlling those types of scenarios, those types of duels.
True. It feels like whenever it's got tense and it's got close, it's typically been Espada that have come out swinging and they have been successful. So the fact that VP are now starting to grind a few rounds out, some of those sleeper OP players coming to the forefront may not bode too well for Espada. They went early doors for a full stack over on B. They now trade off Sotfik onto the A side of the map through CT side on the boxes. But VP aren't too interested. They're actually just playing this one slow. They must have a good read of the economic situation. They're anticipating some kind of eco to be in play. But are they about to guess wrong? because Buster is already making moves around the ladders. Is he about to push onto the B site? Because Espada, honestly, even if they do lose this round, this is what they're expecting. If they can take an AK or two away from this is actually a pretty big bit of success, I think, from their point of view. 40 seconds, though. VP now making moves on A. It looks like this round should fall into place, roughly how we were expecting.
Yeah, definitely saw it going down there. Now it's just been confirmed. All 4 members. Buster doesn't want to bite off a little too much more than he can chew, so he does decide to back off a little bit. And the hunting party begins. 3 members sticking together. That's a huge dink, but if Yekindar, he should be fine. He's got control of the murder hole. Let's see if some crazy B-hops can happen. No, they just decide to... Wow, they're beelining it through ticket. Okay. This is a lot of long-range USB dinks, though, Vince.
Yeah. Goes to show that their aim is definitely on point for Espada. It's just they don't really have the weaponry to facilitate any kind of frags coming in. But the narrative of this map now is getting really interesting. Timeout has been called by Espada. They are feeling pressured. They are feeling very tense indeed, because at one stage they had a 12-7 lead. That has been bridged back down to just a 1-round lead. And the momentum for VP is building up nicely. Sotfik went 56 months without winning a 1v4, but now has won 2 in 4 months. Definitely turning it around. Love to see that.
Wow. Progress, baby. Progress. And this is how it all just begins, especially for underdog teams such as this, you know? When Espada starts winning certain duels, when they react well and they're rewarded for it, they start realizing, oh, okay, so this is how a top 10 team in the world wants to play, and the best of them start to progress and get better, and hopefully Espada can showcase just that. Right now, seems like a pretty default round. The rounds that Espada have won dominantly have started off with some sort of early proactive aggression. This time, things are pretty quiet. Sanji is also being very careful. I'm actually very used to VP putting a lot of pressure early on in these upper B tunnels. But these domestic matchups, man, they always have some little small flair, something different. They're always very aware of each other. And Yekindar might push through this smoke. It seemed like there was a flashbang ready for him.
Smoke's now being deployed over on B. The smoking window is cleared just in time for Sotfik to allow himself a bit of a swing in. Molotov will force him out into the open, but not before Dexter makes short work of Yekindar. They have a good idea as to what's coming up now, Espada, so they're trading off some of their players towards the A side of the map. Finnegan will be joined by Dexter, but Kickert is taking this opportunity to start to pivot out. James finds Dimmer, a very important kill, because Dimmer could have shut 2 or 3 players down from the back. That could have been the round done, but they've got a good trifecta established. Crossfire's in play, and Tetris goes unchecked, and Finnegan punishes them. He sprays down Buster. That will be the round done. James has to go save. He has no chance at clutching this. I gave Espada not enough credit. I said it was 12-11 at the start of this round. Won't be happening. They actually extend the lead to 13-10. So VP in trouble again, but they have the money to make a real go of this.
Man, feels bad for Sanji. I said he had a flashbang ready for Yekindar at Cat. He gets caught out. The flash, I think he wanted to throw it sooner, but he was just stuck in no man's land. And you called it, Vince. That smoke disappeared and he got stuck there all alone. Things just went out of control at that point. This is some mid-round aggression. Aggression in mid in the beginning of the round, and a run boost coming out. Dexter just dodges it, leaves Patsy all alone, and no trade to be found. There we are. These duels coming out on top for VP. That trade came in a little late for Dexter, and Buster was able to respond as well. Not sure exactly what happened to Dexter there, but Patsy was kind of out all alone. And now this is going to leave everything onto Dima. All alone at this B site. And it does seem like this is going to be a late round B hit. Sophic is rotating. But when you're down to 3 defenders, Vince, there's just so many angles you have to be aware of or be paranoid of.
No doubt. And when you're this thinly spread and you've taken 2 plays over on the B side, it does allow VP to start to make moves in. I love that they didn't overextend and push into B. And he may very well have heard that indeed. Now he absolutely knows it. Kickert's there. He's waiting for another jump to come into play, but Finnegan could have had him dead. That could have been a very important moment in the round. And with 30 seconds, VP change up their angles. They head to the A side. Espada don't really have the money to justify this, but Sophic actually pushes through the Molotov. What a madman. That's not a play that I was anticipating. At least VP were, though. That leaves Dima in a 1-on-3, and have a look at their money.
Sometimes you just got to go for the big boy plays, Vince, and Sophic thought that that was going to be his, but VP were aware of that possibility. You're right. If there's a Molotov, it's been burning for quite some time. VP are definitely aware, and Dima's going to survive. Hopefully. He does find the one in Sanji. Gets a nice AK for himself, but Kicker, he's hot on the toes. These sound cues is going to be dangerous for Dima. Oh, Kicker might get this. I think he will.
Oh no, just with a second to spare, the AK gets denied. And considering that Espada have barely anything to put into this round now with money, this should be a fast track for VP to get themselves back to around even keel. It is now 13-11, but Espada coming through with just 2 Desert Eagles. Surely VP bring us back to that 1-round deficit. It's been such a heroic effort from Espada. But just when the finish line is in touching distance, they may be about to falter and slip away.
Kendar, nice response. Ooh, that's a good shot from Dexter. Should be a free AK. If Dima can find it, but he might just be leaving it for his teammate to pick up, or they've lost track of it. Either way, the B bomb site goes down. VP, pretty cut and dry. Espada had nothing in this round. But yeah, Vince, I am afraid for Espada now. Things are starting to look a lot more clean for VP. Their money is absolutely banging. Look at James. He is either him or Sanji that always seem to be just balling out of control. Always has a lot of money.
Yeah, I know the meme is, it's James time and all that kind of stuff. But what VP have always had a very good read of is the economic situation. You very rarely see them play themselves out into a really awkward position where they can't afford a weapon here or there. And you've seen it again in this game. I mean, Espada, if anything, they've been more guilty of throwing some guns into the gauntlet when maybe they should have played a little bit more disciplined, a little bit smarter. I'm thinking of that Molotov push a couple rounds ago. Definitely comes to my mind. But they do have a buy now. It will include an AWP and plenty of grenades. So VP, they've got their work cut out for them. There's no easy rounds on the horizon. They still trail by 1, but it seems like they'll be mixing up the pace and looking to go for a full-on A execute. And this is incredibly quick. They're not waiting around. They're not allowing the CTs to get in position. And you can see that Finnegan was completely isolated from the rest of his teammates. These smokes and flashes have been so good, and Espada cannot handle the heat that's being tossed their way.
Jeez, James, what a call coming from the man. I love it. The fact that VP have had mid-control for the past few rounds, the fact that Espada, Dexter completely leaving Patsy out to dry. So they know that Espada want to make their stand, make some sort of statement in mid. You saw it there. 3 defenders in Espada all congregated towards mid. The lone man at ticket booth. This fast A execute just coming out strong. And Sanji doesn't care. He wants to punish them. The hunt is on. Kicker finds one, and even Dima should be going down soon. Both players really low. But just surviving. Look at these bullets. Oh my god. Just surviving, but just the one gun, Vince. Just the one gun onto Dima. That hunt was so aggressive for VP. I even like that call to follow through.
I completely agree. For the reasons that we kind of highlighted before, VP are balling out of control when it comes to their finances, and they know that Espada are hanging on by a thread. Patsy was unfortunately actually died in the last couple of milliseconds. It could have been 2 saved guns, and that could have afforded them actually some kind of a buy coming into this. As it stands, though, VP now neck and neck, but with a far superior economy. The last rounds have distinctly gone in their way. That's 3 in a row now. And before that, it was just the 1 for Espada and then 3 in a row. So it goes to show these last 7 rounds have been heavily in favor of the T's. We expected their T half would be looking pretty good. It's lived up to that mark. Finnegan getting aggressive. Beautiful crosshair placement. Actually double taps Yakinda. Locks down Palace and picks up an AK. He'll have information alongside that. This isn't out of the realms of possibility that Espada may very well pick up this round. Beautifully placed incendiary. Keeps them away in terms of Palace, but VP still haven't fully enforced their will out onto A, and they're not sure if there's a flank coming in. This is about as perfect a start as Espada could have asked for.
Yeah, that smoke just was everything. Throwing that down right under that shadow area. James is going to lurk behind, be a straggler, and it's going to be really important for him to find some sort of a late kill. But this does look like it's still going to be that A hit. They will meet back up with James and Patsy. Oh man, this is such a prime position for Patsy. He gets the find onto Sanji, and they're not even aware.
James still alive, still kicking. Smoke's been put down. Finnegan was last spotted in Palace. Now he shows his hand again. That's the round done. Espada pull it out somehow with 1 primary weapon going in, and Finnegan with a 3K to close it out. That is huge, and what an important moment to bust that play out here.
Man, it's crazy what a $300 investment into a smoke can do for yourself, but it totally stopped all of the VP members in their tracks in that A ramp and bought just enough time for Espada. Good reactions, man. Patsy, huge kills down in that lower B tunnel, lower mid area. And Dexter has another AWP in his hands, and looks like a lot of the VP members are congregated towards this B. Just Pickert lurking around towards A.
I think many would have expected this game to be pretty one-sided in favor of VP, perhaps with a point to prove after their disappointing loss earlier today. But you've got to give Espada a lot of credit. They have battled so hard throughout the duration of this game, and it's been Dexter again leading the charge. 21 kills, 76 ADR, with a chance to open up a few more kills and open his account again. Misses the shot courtesy of a flashbang and gets winged down to 60, but does keep himself alive. Smoke now deployed into connector. That can afford some passage over on catwalk if VP want to end on B, but it seems like they have other ideas. Even if they do want to hit B, they have to deal with this threat of Dimmer. It's a good flashbang, and that will yield the kill. 30 seconds to go. Now they're going to start exploding through catwalk, but Dexter has made moves in. Great flick onto Yakinda, goes back in for seconds, but James is there waiting for him. Incendiaries and flashes. HG's being tossed to the back of Van, and finally they get their man. Patsy is punctured in the head by Buster. Espada try and retreat. They try and keep themselves alive, but Sanji keeps it down to just Finnegan. That was another incredibly tense round though, Potter, where if just one duel goes the other way, it's very possible Espada get it done.
Absolutely, man. Dexter almost just making that round into something real special. I think that re-peek into James' AWP definitely was not the play, but either way, man, he just seems to be a player that looks like he has a lot of potential to just completely take over a round. But James was there to punish him. He was only good for the 1 kill, and that's just not enough for a B defense. And Sanji's been hunting all game long, and Finnegan, he will survive. But man, when VP are winning some of these rounds, it's so dominant that Espada don't look like they even have a chance of coming back into the rounds. The rounds that VP have won out of the last few have just had Espada saving right off the bat as VP have taken over the bomb sites. So definitely reading the game really well. There's been some hiccups, obviously. That's what's made the score so close, but this is it. All of the money for Espada have been pushed into this round. Everything's tied up.
As close as could be. The arsenal of weaponry, certainly not as balanced. It's tipping in favor of VP. There is an MP9 in play, but Patsy's already shown certainly a proficient player when it comes to these aggressive SMG plays. Sanji taking underpass control. I know this is an area where you expect to see him really shine. He's been dulled down quite a bit from Espada, though, in previous rounds. Flashbang is so good, and Saltfic has to instantly seek a bit of cover. That allows a bit more room for a Molotov to come in. Saltfic tanked down to 63, but will survive. Just about. Buster now making moves through on ramp, trying to catch a few of these CTs out in the open, getting one. Finnegan's pushing in, can't quite connect the dots for a second time, but there's been so much damage, so many softened targets that are now being finished off. Kicker tri-ordnance does the rest onto Dexter. Well, Finnegan taking so many flashbangs to the face, finally picked off. Now his information gathered from ramp earlier on, and now Espada are crumbling. It's the MP9 that comes good for Patsy. He can now trade up to the M4. Snappy aim instantly goes on to Sanji. Is this feasible? Incendiary into Palace. This forces away the low and weakened kicker from his teammate, but I'm not sure that Patsy can realistically pounce back onto the site in time. That incendiary has dwindled, and maybe with it, any hopes of Patsy clutching it. Making sure that none of the T's are hiding in the smoke. But judging from the positions of VP, this should be a lost cause now. He has to go in for it. He knows his days are numbered, and Jane puts him down with authority. VP now have a map point.
VP, you know, I think Maui mentioned it on the desk. Their trading game at DreamHack so far wasn't the greatest. But right now, they're looking awake, Vince. And as it should be. If they hadn't, they would have lost this map. So to secure that 15th in that round, they were tight-knit. They made sure that those trades went in their favor. And again, they just completely dominate towards that A site. 3 of the top 5 players for headshot percentage at this event are on VP. That's impressive. All 3 members on VP. I mean, that's so dangerous, right? But I think at the same time, that says a lot about Espada. The fact that they're just swinging back to this level right now. It's quite impressive.
To swing in one more time, Potter, if they want to take us to overtime. VP have been ruthless this last 10-15 minutes. After having a fair amount of issues in the first half on their CT side, they bridged back from a 7-2 deficit. Now Sanji will get the drop, but actually comes out second best. Dima had no right to win that fight. Sanji will be bitterly disappointed he let that one slip.
Eesh. James does have a response, and Dima does get taken out. Really unfortunate for Sanji to lose out that duel. Either way, 4v4, this still absolutely favors VP. They are slowing things down. Espada, 2 members trying to regain some map control. So they do decide to go down this A ramp. The timing of this is going to be real interesting with Kicker. They might completely end up behind him and just start flanking him. They hear all those sound cues towards middle. But this B split, man, Sophic under a lot of pressure. And he just goes down.
Succumbs to the pressure that's been applied by Yakinda's AK. Finnegan, next player. He has to try and bait time for this double player rotation. Patsy and Dexter will be making moves behind. If Finnegan can even land one, it may be good enough. He's been biding his time flawlessly. There's the first. The bomb now needs to trace across. That's allowed a Patsy to show his hand. Finnegan should have done enough, but James somehow comes back with another one. He's got time for the plant, but Dexter wall bangs him. And with just a few seconds to spare, Espada will get it across the line. We head to overtime, but first we're going to a break.
Light the fire, chill the wine, turn the lights down low. All I want for Christmas is you. Trim the tree, deck the halls, hang the mistletoe. All I want for Christmas is you. Yesterday, I was feeling so blue. Now I'm happy here with you. Sit right down, hold me close while we watch the snow. All I want for Christmas is you. Stay right here by my side, say you'll never go. All I want for Christmas is you. All I want for Christmas is you. All I want for Christmas is you.
Well, it wouldn't be a DreamHack Open without a few overtimes thrown in the mix. Maybe not the map that we expected to be close, but we got it on Mirage. 15 apiece with VP battling against the odds the entire duration of this map. But Espada, it was them that held on Potter, and now we go into overtime with VP switching it up. It's a bit more middle control, and Sophic mollied out of connector.
Full 16K, a lot of money. Everything all these players could want coming into this round. And a pretty quiet mid control. I just noticed the craziest stat. Vince, Patsy is 2 for 9 in opening duels, but his stats aren't terrible. But just the fact that he went for 11 opening duels, just relentless, this guy. Only 17 years old. Right now, Dexter, he's under a lot of pressure. That's a good chunk of damage towards this connector area. Yakindar. That crosshair placement looks so damn deadly. Oh, that's a lineup.
No one checks it. They just run straight through connector, giving up so many angles, and they get punished so hard. Only one death. Espada off to the races with the first round of overtime.
Wow, that looks so dominant too, Vince, you know? I mean, these rounds have been coming down scrappy, but that one looked easy for Espada. Things just working out perfectly. Just a nice little lineup double kill as well. Dexter, he's got a pretty good spawn. Going for this mid-jump rather. And Yakindar has been taking so much just splash damage towards this top mid box in the beginning of the rounds. Look at this positioning.
Keep in mind as well that both teams fared better on their T half than they did their CT side. It went 8-7. 16 rounds of the 30 were T-sided. And VP have lost their first T-side round. And the Kinder's been tagged down to 58. Bomb dropped back at spawn. easily retrievable and will be getting picked up by James, who's now headed towards the ramp to join his teammate of Buster, and Kickert, who's in Palace. Flashbang over, affords them to go in for that first peek, but Finnegan off angle, may get caught, barrel the gun round the corner, and this is way cleaner. This is much better from VP. A 180 turn from that previous round where they got slaughtered, and now it's down to Patsy. He can only post up the one frag, of course, with 16k starting money. No real reason for him to try and save this. They've got plenty of funds for the next one. He'll get peeked by Kickert, who puts the bullet in his head. 16 apiece.
Wow, that was actually the dream scenario for VP. Every execute that they want to throw in, any set piece, any A split, this is exactly how they want it to unfold. A lot of the defenders weren't even looking their way. Each frag just one by one snowballing out of control, but totally going in the favor of VP. Dominant round, and Buster, he's going aggressive. He's going through this Molotov. They even smoke it out. Completely blind as Patsy. Finnegan has a response, but so many people in his crosshairs. He goes down as well. VP so aggressive into this round, Vince.
Yeah, did a great job of isolating jungle so they could fully focus their fire on CT, knowing that there would be no crossfire. Firebox will live up to its name. Dimmer tosses one in. Yakinda has to come out into the open. Dimmer is there, laid in wait, picks up two. And in this 3v4 retake, Espada now have the advantage. Jane, with 27 kills, puts a 28 down range. Changing his angle slightly, Sanji helps him out, but now Dimmer, through the smoke, pounces for another couple, and he picks up the 4K, and he picks up the round. A huge moment for Espada once again.
Wow. Espada are so good at just lurking by smokes and biding their time, and again, thriving in the chaos. Look at Dima. That's his own smoke that he dropped down. Hanging around on the edges of it, he finds himself 4 kills to retake that round. That was almost a guaranteed scenario for VP. They were so aggressive in the beginning of the round. Both squads bringing in everything, and Yakindar missing the opening there. And the aggression coming up from Cat. Dexter finds an opening. This is just going everywhere, Vince.
Chaos, carnage, AWPers in middle. And although VP did definitely come up against it on their CT side, remember they started awfully before they made some tweaks, and then they ended the half solidly. So it may be a bit of a false narrative taking shape. VP getting a 1-for-1 trade. Yakinda probably should have got that opening pick. Didn't work out for him. And now Espada making moves up through underpass, checking into Biaps, but the bomb, the other side of the map, in the hands of Dexter. And not for the first time, VP have given up A control. They are allowing safe passage for Espada, but do they oblige? Do they take their free maneuver?
Sanji, half blind there, gets taken out by Patsy. And this is completely going to sell the fake. Look at the mini-map, Vince. Not a single defender is out towards A. If Dima's able to find one more, that would be perfection. There it is. Both players still thinking it's B. The bomb will go down. This should be a fairly easy post plant, especially the fact that Dexter has this AWP. There is some utility left for Buster and Kickert. But man, Dexter just has all the line of sight he wants in the world. There it is, Finnegan almost sealing the deal. Buster, there's really not a point in saving either, so he's just kind of stuck looking for kills.
Yeah, he only seemed half-hearted at the end, didn't he? He was almost like, I should go for this, but I know I'm a dead man if I do. So I think I'll just chill instead, which does put Espada into 2 map points. And you're completely spot on there, Potter. Even though it went down to a 2-on-2, because both players were over on B, you just saw Espada take beautiful post-plant positions. That was such a difficult round for VP to win at that stage.
Yeah, VP getting pushed and pulled. Around the map, Buster, I think he may have just been spotted. So Espada might have a good idea of this aggression with that AWP, and Dima. The timing that he finds behind this molly might be everything. He does get spotted out by Sanji. Should slow everything back down, but once again, we come back to Buster. And Buster's been a boss towards this cat area.
Molly was instantly extinguished. I was worried that Buster may get lulled into a false sense of security because Dexter actually extinguished that, allowing Sophic to go for the insta-peek towards Catwalk. Those are the kind of little intricate moments that can get you caught, but it's Buster with the AWP from ladder room that pounces in first and makes Sophic his prey. They can't really base too much intel around that pick, though. And Buster taking down Dexter, who walks through the smoke. Massive impact from him, but Dimmer's used this opportunity to just snake his way through. They would have heard him drop, though. So even though he's in an awkward position, now they know exactly where he is. And with 2 players up close, it's hard to see what Dimmer can get done, if anything.
There's one. Things are awkward, but if things are really awkward now. Oh, he finds another. That's not good, Vince. 2 versus 2. Yakindar, that trigger discipline. Okay, this almost makes things recoverable, but James is so far away. And Finnegan, he's gonna push his own Molotov. Waits for the timing. Kicker does not look like he's aware of this, but James is here to back him up now. Things are so tense here, Vince. It's all gonna come down to this duel. Is James ready for it?
That should be it done, even if Finnegan gets the first. It had to be a clean kill. With the 2v1 and being wrapped around the back, it had to be an insta-snappy headshot. And then him changing his avenue of aggression. Instead, VP, they hold on a little bit longer, but that moment at the back, I think it was Yakinda that was waiting to find the second player. When his teammate gets shot on Catwalk, there are going to be some serious questions asked of Yakinda there.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, that's a play. That's an actual big boy play that Yakindar was making for himself. That trigger discipline, but the fact that Dima finds the quick kill on Cat just makes him look a little silly in that moment. But I respect the play, Yakindar. It could have paid off huge. Either way, they are able to recover. And that's the beautiful thing of having James on your squad. But Kicker, he is under a lot of pressure. He's handling it so well. Just hold mouse 1 with the AK. Why not? Gets 2 kills through the smoke. And he does get traded out, but man, he's done so much work. The bomb will go down. But VP, they've shown that these are the kind of retake scenarios that they want.
Wild for him to even get 2, and it shows the importance of those 2 kills. Had he have gone down without a fight, it would have been an easy post plant. Because VP, again, basically gave up A. Dexter, trajectory of the grenade, but still goes down to Buster, who has enough time to change to his AWP, put it down range, and we are headed to second overtime. Unless Patsy pulls off a masterful clutch, he's gone in for so many, but James is the last man standing, and he should have enough time for the defuse. I almost wrote Patsy off there. I apologize profusely, and you scared me for a second, and I'm sure he scared VP, but we go again.
Wow, Patsy almost having some crazy style points coming into this round. Finds himself a 3rd, and man, even that 4th one, he looked almost good for it. Spray control getting a little wild there at the end, but damn, this is close. I can't believe we're going into a second OT. Things are crazy right now. Double AWP setup coming out from Buster and James, and no AWP this time for Dexter. They just want to go in for a fast A. Heavy trades coming out, but James finds an opening.
And when you see full AKs, you kind of assume it's going to be more of a run and gun, mobile style, almost blitzkrieg hit onto a site, but it's been anything but. And with James getting the opening pick, that just puts even more of that pressure. It's beginning to swell for Espada, who let 2 map points slip through their fingers. It was 18-16 when VP put 2 together. Incendiary onto ramp, well timed. Espada can't push. They also have no middle control, so they're not sure if VP are getting aggressive. If they're maybe flanking, that could force them into an awkward position. Could be playing the mind games with themselves, their own worst enemies. Buster, with the flash accompanied by him, goes in, but it's Dexter and Patsy that actually come out swinging before a weakened Dexter is finished off. Trades keep going back and forth, but will favor VP, and they take the lead in our second OT.
Wow, what a neck and neck round. Even the last few members of VP were getting low there, and I think James finding that early kill onto Sophic really just solidified everything. You saw it. Most of the defenses of VP were down at that A bomb site. And even yesterday, we saw some funky A setups coming out on Mirage. All 10 players even being at A at once. And Dima, we've seen him putting the pressure onto Sanji in these B tunnels. And he's gonna try to find the timing once again. And that flash, it catches Sanji off guard completely. Dima has been finding a lot of ground towards his B, and once again, he's successful. That's the B bomb site gone and for the taking.
2v4, Kicker still here, but not for much longer. Dima has been a man possessed. He picked up a 4K earlier, which basically got Espada into overtime in the first place. And now he's put a trio together and gets the assist onto Jane, with Sotfik getting the rewards. 19-19. A fast B hit yields the round. But still neck and neck. And this is so hard for me to predict who's going to come out ahead in this matchup here, Potter. It's just been crazy.
It's so back and forth, isn't it? And the craziest part is the rounds that each team is winning, it's not even close. It just happens. The team dominates whatever round they decide to win. And Yakindar gets blind, pushed off the angle, but he recovers. VP still have this mid control, somewhat. We do see the AWP coming out on the back of Dexter this time.
Finnegan and Kicker doing a deadly dance over on Palace. Bomb now traversing through towards T-spawn. And Yakinda thinking about going for that peak, but has a good angle. The problem here is he's not too sure if there's a player potentially coming through the underpass, and if he gets on the bench, he could be picked off. And there was a boost coming in, but it's into the window instead. So a couple of these timings favoring Espada slightly, and these intricate, minute leads can start to snowball into something bigger. And that's what Patsy is trying to do as he shoves away Buster in the round. Jane taking a lot of damage from that Molotov. He wanted to hold in position and take down the ramp. Good flick from Yakinda. This time punishes Dexter. But with 30 seconds, they may realize this is a B-centered hit. They can hear the footsteps of Dimmer now charging straight through there, but it's all a ruse. It's a fake. They're sending the bomb back onto A, but this gives them no room for error. And Espada have to deal with two players who've actually got a crossfire set up. If one of them goes down, that's probably the round over, and it's going to be Jane that picks up the first. The bomb spills out into the open. Sandwich goes unchecked. The round is done.
Espada trying their damnedest to throw that misdirection, and that was a lot of pressure. I thought it'd come through. But VP, they're not going to bite. You need a lot more than that to fool them. James just holding his ground. That was a solid A defense, and Espada just went into the blender there, didn't they?
They did, and it feels a little bit self-imposed to me, Potter, because 25, 30 seconds, they decided, right, we're going to rotate back to A, but they had no map control at all. It's not like they had Finnegan or somebody else who's typically been one of their sort of flank players in Palace that could really pivot out first. They were going in blind.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a situation where they had to kind of pick their poison. Yakindar gets pushed out from the molly. His teammate is there to help him a little bit, but he's going to have to expend so much utility to get out of there, and he gets punished for it. Sanji's going to try his hand now. But it just became a lot more risky for him. They do not have top mid control, and there it is. Sanji just gets taken out. And this is what I mean, Vince. The rounds, whichever team is winning, they just dominate. And it's just so back and forth right now. No clear leader.
Which is somewhat surprising, because you'd think in an overtime sort of tense situation like this, it should be VP. They got so much more experience. This round is looking like it's a done deal already. Even if Dexter does fall, there's a rotation play in effect, and Dimmer would never have been spotted. He wasn't required, but he was round the back of the T side. So even if Buster somehow pulled off the miracle, it's unlikely he would have got anything else done. And yeah, it's just really well played by Dimmer. 2 kills in middle, pretty much finalizing the round before it even got started for VP. Magic number now, of course, is 22. That's what both teams are jockeying for. And VP have to go back to the drawing board.
Yakindar hasn't been having too much fun in this middle. But he's got to do his job, go through the motions, keep these middle defenders there. It looks like this is going to be a B-pop of some kind, but this Molotov from Patsy, he threw it a little early, gotta say, but...
A little bit early. It has still afforded VP the luxury of moving through onto the van. This puts Patsy in a kind of an awkward position. The smokes are good for him, though. It allows him to bypass the first player. Kickert's been sent reeling out of the round. Grenades now being tossed to Van. That's going to do hefty damage, but not before Buster makes short work of Patsy. Sanji takes off the head. Free haircut for Dima. Not at the perfect time, though. 2v3. Make it all down to Finnegan. And although he's on the fast wrap, it's not fast enough. His teammates have all dropped around him. And the flank is only ever as good as the supporting cast. There is no supporting cast. Now Finnegan had to snap in for a potential kill. He's given his position away. VP will have another map point.
Wow, just a straight up B hit. I meant that Molotov went too deep, but man, things are just, each team are just swinging back and forth, and this just happens to be just a solid, simple B-pop play. And I thought Espada had enough to hold off that sort of a play, but VP, they made sure the trades came in their favor. Wow, and Sanji got his first multi-kill round of the series in round 32. It's fairly late.
Indeed, but as the fun fact says, when it matters. Better late than never, I guess, for Sanji. He has had a bit of a slow game, and I know he's one of the players that you expected to see do really well here on Mirage, so perhaps underperforming.
Anytime I can put Sanji on a pedestal, I try to, Vince. I try to.
Well, he could still come out swinging here. He could single-handedly get them across the finish line. You can never really count him out, but Kickert will be counted out with a full 10. As Dexter puts him out of his misery with the AWP, spots the second player hopping across the left-hand side. He's going to go hunting for this. He overextends. Oh no, he hits the shot, but did he get winged? Did it hit his arm?
I think
I can't believe that.
The wall. And Yakindar even got a wall kill, and Sanji finds one into Sotfik. Oh man, just the smallest of margins. Finnegan, though, gets a lineup for himself. That was everything. He is low. VP know exactly where he is. But the immediate trade, it doesn't come through. Oh, that's a huge miss for Yakindar. I'm tripping over my tongue here, Vince.
Understandably, it's been so chaotic, and in amongst all of this carnage, James has been slowly maneuvering his way out onto B. But he has no idea that Patsy is in kitchen. If he can drop Patsy quick, maybe there is a way back into this round and VP can get it done. He spots him, looking for that secondary player. Insta-tap. Now Espada can move into position, but not before James gets the post plant. Lack of grenades could be an issue. One of the two CTs is headed towards the B app, and James will not hear that from this position just yet. It all comes down to the waiting game. We know James is a patient player. He is disciplined. He is meticulous in his approach. And so far, he's played the round perfectly. Dim has now shown his hand, and James snaps it off. The HP is in favor of James. He spots Finnegan, and now he relocates. Finnegan presses in. It's looking good for James to clutch this round. He just has to play the time. He just has to play the position. And there's the headshot. VP get it done. And isn't it fitting? It's James with the 1v3.
Damn, James, so smart. He's got the big brain. He's got the moves. And he's able to convert that clutch. It came down to the wire, Vince. Just back and forth. We were talking about it. Each team completely dominating whatever round that they won, especially in that OT. But James, what a difference maker. What a difference maker. Just playing with the time, playing with exactly, he knows where the rotators are going to be at what point on the map. He's able to isolate those 1v1s and just make it look really damn good.
I don't know about you, Potter, but I need a couple moments to just collect my thoughts after that game, and I'm sure you guys at home do too. So we'll be back after this break to get into the second map.